100 trillion. 100 trillion is the approximate global GDP. For the entire world, the gross domestic product of how much money is brought in is approximately 100 million. It's south of 100 million, but just to make math easy, 100 million. The United States accounts for approximately a quarter at around 24%. The BRICS nations, the countries that are going to demolish the United States economy, which BRICS are emerging economies, they make up approximately the same amount of GDP as the United States, slightly more. So you have the United States that makes up a quarter of the GDP of the United States, and then the BRICS nation that makes up another quarter. And BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Of course, right now you have kind of like BRICS Plus, which are nations that are joining the BRICS alliance. But for all intents and purposes, that is a shit ton of money being controlled by BRICS. If you count NATO, total NATO, which is the United States plus United States allies, you have around 35% of all the GDP in the entire world. Most certainly right now, you have a battle right now of economics. There's an economic war right now where BRICS are trying to change everything that's happening in the world, and the United States wants to keep the status quo. The leader of BRICS is China. The leader of NATO is America. The only two superpowers are United States and China. China's here, United States is here. China wants to get here, and the United States wants to make sure that they don't get there. China right now is having its way with the world. Any country that is tired of the United States being bullies, and most certainly the United States is bullies, I've said this many times before, is running to China. Palantir. Palantir is at a huge disadvantage right now in the world economic stage. Kind of. Palantir only works with the United States and the United States allies. In doing so, they make sure that the technology that they make stays within its allies, within the allies of the United States. And they often criticize Silicon Valley because they don't have the same exact patriotism as Palantir has. Now, most people laugh when Palantir speaks. Most people laugh, especially the haters, about when I make videos about Palantir. But those people are, I think, a little bit not sympathetic about what's happening right now, and they don't actually see how absolutely massive and how absolutely gangster Palantir is, that Palantir does not work with the United States foes. And this is huge because it puts Palantir at a huge disadvantage. Let me explain to you where I'm coming from. Earlier today, shout out to my man Cheeps, he shared a video to me. Today was part 2 of that video. It was literally 2 CIA spies that were talking. It's a 2-part series. Each of the parts is over 2 hours long, and it's absolutely amazing. And one of the things that they were talking about was China and Russia, BRICS, United States, so on and so forth. It was the Sean Ray show, and as far as I understand, Sean Ray was in the CIA at a lower capacity, but he definitely worked for the CIA as per his show, and Andrew Bustamante. And Andrew Bustamante was a certified spy for the CIA, working in third world and first world countries. And they go on to talk about China, they go on to talk about the United States, BRICS, and everything. It's an amazing, amazing show. And one of the things that they're talking about, Sean is asking Andrew, what's going on with, emerging technology? What's going on with China? What's going on with the United States? And Andrew said that of the 40-something check marks of the world, China is leading the United States in 30-something of the 40-something. I'm going to play you the clip in just a moment. It's only 2 minutes. You guys definitely need to watch it. Sean responds to Andrew and said, hey, one of the reasons why China is advancing against the United States and absolutely smoking the United States is a lot of corporations in the United States go to China to develop their technologies, to work there, because it's cheaper to develop in China and there's a lot less red tape. But the Chinese government has a deal with all corporations that come to work in China, including Tesla, including Apple, including Google, so on and so forth. And again, this is not my words. I am paraphrasing of these two CIA spies. So maybe they're qualified to talk about what they're talking about. I'm going to play you the clip in just a moment. They said that because China allows these corporations no red tape and to easily make money in China and develop technology in China faster and cheaper than they ever could in the United States, China has first dibs. The Chinese government, the Chinese military has first dibs on any technological breakthroughs that were made on Chinese soil. Let that sink in. Companies from the United States that work with adversaries of the United States are less patriotic because if they develop technology, this technology can be taken by America's adversaries. And they're doing this in the sake of profit. Now, I'm not judging, I'm just stating a fact. I like profits, I like to invest into companies, I like making money. But a lot of people don't understand what Dr. Alex Karp continuously says. We will not work in Palantir, we will not work with adversaries of the United States, which means the entire global market for Palantir shrinks. If the total GDP of the entire world is 100 trillion, NATO makes up around 35% at 34, 35 trillion. How many more trillions is there that they can work with, like non-NATO countries, but allies of the United States? Maybe another 5 trillion, 10 trillion. Basically, half of the world is closed off to Palantir. And that's huge. Think about it. Think about the countries I just mentioned. Palantir is not going to work with China. Palantir is not going to work with Russia. I don't think Palantir is going to be working with India. Think about that. Palantir is definitely not working with Russia. Palantir is definitely not working with China. And I'm not sure to what capacity, if any, they will work with any of the other BRICS companies. I don't want to comment because I don't know. But this is a massive market that's not there. And somehow Palantir was still able to grow just in the United States market over 60% year-over-year growth. It's no secret that the United States market is absolutely huge and massive when it comes to Palantir. Palantir is working very, very hard to make progress in working with at least the United States allies. It's not as easy as, hey, we're Palantir, let's work together. No, they're just limiting their playing field. I want you to listen to what these two spies, Sean and Andrew, have to say about exactly what I was just talking about. It's truly amazing. It's just like a minute clip. Definitely watch it. And you should watch the entire episode, by the way. It was freaking phenomenal. They talk about the, spies and the satellites and China and BRICS and woke culture, everything, and why United States is, in fact, failing against China. And if we don't do anything about it, we are going to fail. Our next generation, my kids, your kids, are not going to understand what being first in the world, i.e. the superpower of the United States, is going to be, because the United States is not going to be a world superpower. It's a phenomenal clip, and just remember, Palantir does not work with adversaries of the United States for exactly the reason these two CIA spies are going to be talking about in the clip that I'm going to play you. Remember that the next time that you hate on Palantir, and remember that the next time that you actually invest in Palantir, and you should be proud that Palantir supports United States government, United States allies, so on and so forth. Palantir works with the United States in lieu of all the downfalls, and we're not perfect. But they are trying to shore up all the mistakes. They are trying to make the United States better. And if nothing else, that is very commendable of Palantir. In the future, Palantir will grow like a wildfire that nobody has ever seen before. As these adversaries grow, there will be a need to counter these adversaries. And Palantir is not the only game in town, but Palantir most certainly is one of the few players that can actually make a dent, that can actually make a difference, and that actually has wartime grit to show. It has the experience to not just talk the talk, but back up the talk and make sure that they walk that walk. Enjoy this clip. Thank you very much, and keep it clean in between. Have a great day.
We did just yesterday, the U.S. State Department released a report confirming that of the 41 technologies that that have been deemed as critical next generation technologies, I think that's what it was, 41 technologies, China is ahead of the United States in 33 of the 41 technologies. And on that list was advanced communication, artificial intelligence, hypersonic missiles, next generation drones, like a huge list where we are being trounced by Chinese investment and Chinese discoveries in these advanced tech. So I think that just further corroborates what you were just talking about with the potentiality of Chinese using quantum entanglement as some sort of communication tool.
Moving into tech, I mean, so what they're doing with these tech companies, I interviewed this guy, Peter Schweitzer. We were just talking about him at lunch. He wrote that book, Red Handed. So what China's doing with these tech companies, and maybe you know more about this than me because I just read a book, but they're basically bringing in all big tech into China because in big tech is they like it because they don't have all the red tape to deal with like they do here in the U.S. So they build them a big chip factory. They build them, I don't know, whatever, iPhone factory. It doesn't matter, whatever it is. And so all these big tech companies, Google, Tesla,
Apple,
all of them are going over there. Well, under Chinese law, if they develop any new tech that China thinks might benefit their military, artificial intelligence, I don't know, quantum entanglement, that has to be shared with the Chinese government. So all of our tech companies are over there developing new tech, and China gets
a piece
they
of
get
it.
The information first. And so of course we're behind because we've allowed all of that to happen.
Right. That's the downside of globalization, right? If you're going to take the economic advantage, if you're going to take the economic incentive of manufacturing in a cheap country, then you're forfeiting your rights to the overarching land law of the land in that foreign country. We weren't thinking about that, right? We weren't thinking about that, or again, going back to 2010 to 2018, think about the tech boom in that period of time. Like, there was so much money, so much venture capital money going into new crazy tech innovations that half of them didn't even make sense, right? But there was such an abundance of money, people just wanted to be able to act quickly and act at scale. You can't do either of those things in the United States. You have to go to a third country to do that. It's too expensive. There's too much red tape. There's too many legal barriers when you try to move fast and scale inside the United States.
But at Palantir, we have a line, and we tell everybody, if you do not feel comfortable supporting the legitimate efforts of America and its allies in the context of war, don't join Palantir. And so, that, by the way, we are discussing recruiting. There are a lot of people who don't want to join Palantir because of that. I respect them. But then this is the wrong company for you. And we also won't work, we've never worked in China. We've never sent our products to Russia. The people are like, are you sending your products to Russia? No. Well, what is so it's just a different beast.